Bhagwant Mann, the new Chief Minister of Punjab, has hit the ground running. Within 24 hours of being sworn in, he declared what he called his unprecedented decision to launch an anti-corruption helpline on the 23rd of March. That is Bhagat Singh's death anniversary. And hours after his ministers were sworn in, his cabinet cleared a proposal to provide 25,000 government jobs. And on Sunday, Punjab police reconstituted the SIT, probing a drug case against Akali Dal leader Bikram Majithia. So coming to the first decision, it's very easy to roll out, because since 2017, Punjab Vigilance Bureau has had a toll-free number for the people to complain against government officials who demand bribes. In fact, on Saturday, I rang the number and the response was quite prompt. The Vigilance Bureau subsequently, also released a WhatsApp number and an email address. So why was Bhagwant Mann calling it an unprecedented decision? Probably because the new anti-corruption helpline would be his personal WhatsApp number. Anyway, Bhagwant Mann has a lot more to do to fulfill the pledge made by his boss, Delhi Chief Minister and Aam Aadmi Party's national convener, Arvind Kejriwal. In this episode of Politically Correct, I am therefore going to talk about the challenges before the Punjab CM and how Kejriwal's national ambition may make life a bit difficult for Bhagwant Mann. If most of you must recall, Kejriwal saw an inqilab or revolution in the AAP's victory in Punjab. His exact words, if I remember it correctly, it was like, first inqilab came in Delhi, now in Punjab, and now it has to spread across the country. That's what Kejriwal had said. And how the Bhagwant Mann government performs will, to an extent, determine how the so-called inqilab spreads to other states. So the 11-member Punjab cabinet, as it is, lacks administrative experience. In fact, none of them have it. If at all, you can say that, one of the ministers was an excise and taxation officer before he took a plunge into politics. If you call that administrative experience for a minister, that's it. But Mann-led cabinet don't lack in revolutionary fervor, so to say. One of the ministers, Lalchand Kataruchak, for instance, was once a member of the Revolutionary Marxist Party of India. Another minister, Kuldeep Singh Dhaliwal, he is also an ex-comrade who was once a member of the CPI-ML. Yet another minister, Harjot Singh Bans, he cut his teeth into politics with Anna Hazare's anti-corruption movement. What Rajnikant had called a bloodless revolution. By the way, Kejriwal's reference to inqilab reminds me of, Amitabh Bachchan's movie of the same name. I think that was in 1980s, Inqilab. So in the real life, Amitabh Bachchan's character, he was a police officer who was forced to join the murky world of politics. He becomes a politician. He leads his party, that's named Garibon Ki Party, to victory. But before becoming the CM, he comes to the party office to meet his to-be cabinet colleagues and shoots them all, uprooting what Amitabh Bachchan says, Zulm ka ped, or the tree of crime. Tahniyon ke saath, shakhaon ke saath, like basically how Amitabh Bachchan uprooted the tree of crime with all its branches. But that's Bachchan's way of inqilab in real life. In reality, it's much less dramatic and much more down to earth. In real life, in fact, the Aam Aadmi Party wants to change the system by becoming a part of it. Coming to challenges before Bhagwant Mann, let me share with you a conversation I had with a friend from Punjab on Saturday. He was visiting me and he said, I'm quoting him, Bhagwant Mann is the Chief Minister of Nota. We voted for Nota because Akalis were no option and the Congressis were in a mess. So Bhagwant Mann has to prove a lot to convince us about the AAP. Otherwise, he remains the Chief Minister of Nota so far. And what is Mann supposed to do to prove himself in the eyes of the people of Punjab? Again, I'm quoting my friend. He says, first of all, he mustn't behave like a slave of Delhi Darbar. He will never win the trust and respect of Punjabis if he is seen as someone at the mercy of his political masters in Delhi. I'm quoting my friend. A visitor from Punjab, he wasn't really making a revelation, but the reason for his outrage was intriguing. A day after the poll results were out, Mann had called on Kejriwal in Delhi. A picture of him touching Kejriwal's feet went viral, drawing sharp criticism from various quarters in Punjab. One may argue what's wrong with a 48-year-old leader seeking the blessing of a senior party colleague. Kejriwal is, I think, 53. I mean, he's elder to him by 5 years. Why should it become an issue of Punjabi pride? The answers, in fact, lie in the proud Sikh history, but it's beyond the scope of this program. Besides, I am not intellectually equipped to talk about this Sikh history. I leave it at that. The compulsion to bow before the Delhi Darbar is one among many challenges Bhagwant Mann is confronted with as he starts his chief ministerial innings. The fact that Mann is the CM of a full-fledged state while Kejriwal heads a union territory government doesn't make much of a difference. In the AAP's centralized command and control system, all powers emanate and flow down from Kejriwal. Mann must submit himself to his Delhi counterpart or to his party's national convener, no matter whether it undermines his image as chief minister in his home state. Kejriwal's national ambition may make life difficult for the new Punjab CM. BJP is not a political challenger as such to Mann in Punjab. So in normal circumstances, the Punjab CM would rather keep PM Modi in good humor, or the centre in good humor. For one, he would want the centre to procure all food grain produced in Punjab at MSP. In the last Rabi marketing season, Punjab was on the top in terms of wheat procurement. Earlier it was Madhya Pradesh a year before, then Punjab came. I'm talking about wheat. Again, out of the total central procurement of paddy by January this year, the data I could see, the maximum was from Punjab. It benefited about 77 lakh farmers. Therefore, Bhagwant Mann would like the centre to continue to show magnanimity when it comes to procurement from Punjab. But the BJP wouldn't really like the AAP to develop a Punjab model, especially when the AAP is emerging as a potential challenger nationally. The Delhi model, centred as it is in the national capital, won't have the same kind of appeal in a semi-urban or rural setup. What if policymakers in Delhi start thinking why the centre should procure so much food grain from just one state, Punjab? After all, Telangana Chief Minister K. Chandrasekhar Rao, he is already holding agitations, planning more agitations, saying that if the centre procures 100% paddy from Punjab, it should be the same for Telangana too. And you can count on many other chief ministers to join the debate. AAP insiders, they say, when you talk to AAP leaders about all this, they tell you that, if the centre does not procure, Punjab can set up its own corporation to buy wheat and paddy at MSP and bear the differential between MSP and market price. But can Punjab afford it? Already, the debt-ridden state is looking at an additional burden of about 20,000 crore, 21,000 crore per year to implement the AAP's pre-election promise of 300 units of free power and 1,000 rupees to each woman. And Punjab is a border state. I mean, Bhagwant Mann needs to work closely with the centre. Captain Amrinder Singh understood these compulsions, and therefore he had maintained a very warm relationship with the Modi government. The Congress High Command, of course, wouldn't understand it. I mean, his acquaintance with the leaders at the centre only actually increased the High Command's misgivings about him. But would Kejriwal allow Bhagwant Mann to keep the Modi government in good humour? I think unlikely. It doesn't suit the AAP's politics or Kejriwal's national ambition. So how would Bhagwant Mann placate the farmers if the centre starts, say, citing KCR's and other chief ministers' demand for parity in food grain procurement? What if the centre drastically cuts down its procurement from Punjab and increases it for other states? It may sound speculative, but when politics drives governance, you can't discount any possibilities. And if that happens, how do the farmers who are still celebrating their victory against the centre over the 3 farm laws respond? Your guess is as good as mine. Punjab CM has another problem coming his way. Kejriwal has always blamed stubble burning in Punjab for pollution in Delhi. When air quality starts worsening in the national capital this year, Bhagwant Mann would start feeling the heat. He'll have to choose between placating his boss and farmers burning a stubble. One of them will be upset either way. Barely a week into the CM's chair, Bhagwant Mann must be feeling the rising March temperature in both Delhi and Chandigarh. That's all from me in this episode of Politically Correct. Thanks for watching.